Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Real People, Real Stories Raw with Debbie Bebo and Jay Rothman. We have such a wonderful guest on today, and we're really excited to share more of her story. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for everyone who's watching, because without you guys, we wouldn't really have a show. And we just want to, together, Jay and I, we create a very safe environment for men and women to be able to reveal their traumas, their obstacles in this journey called life in a very non-judgmental and safe way. We need to feel it, then we need to be able to reveal it, and then we can start to heal from it. And yeah, that's what I wanted to contribute. And take it away, Jay.
Good afternoon, Debbie. It's good to see you. And we have a special edition, as Deb mentioned. We're excited to come in high noon and mountain time, 2 o'clock East Coast time in the U.S. If you're with us live, thank you for joining us. And one thing that we love to do is for you to understand that this is not a monologue. This is a dialogue between all of us. So if you hear something that you like or love, with love, please press your like or love button. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them with us, and we'll do our best to address some of them. And then after the show, we will come back and continue the conversation with all of you. And lastly, if you're coming in, wherever you're coming in from, we'd love to know what state, what city. We got Melanie already says, hi, I'm from Queens, New York. Melanie, it's good to see you. I was born and raised up until second grade out of Flushing, Queens. So we're good to see you from my old neighborhood, from Queens, New York. Robert Dosa, good to see you. And for now, what I'd like to do is introduce maybe a little bit of a bio on our guest that's going to be joining us today. Her name is Brenda Hammon, and she is from Alberta, Canada based. She is a philanthropist, entrepreneur, international best-selling author. She is a goal setter and big dreamer with a mission in life to create positive change for women and to end abuse. In 2004, Brenda became a full-time entrepreneur, and over the next 13 years, she built companies that fit her passion for helping others achieve their dreams. She is currently CEO of 4 companies, including her own publishing company. She is an award-winning author of 4 books, a speaker, and a vocal advocate for helping women overcome traumatic pasts. Brenda fully believes that when women share their stories and stand together, they can change the world to be a better place for all. To that end, she launched Sacred Hearts Rising 2, a compilation book of stories from women and men who have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, and an event by the same name which honors and inspires women to lead a better life. And I would like to also share that she is also spearheading a movement called Create the Change, to lobby for changes to laws and policies surrounding sexual abuse and domestic violence. Her goal is to reach out to every woman to let them know they are not alone and that change is possible. She is seriously committed to giving back to the community. Last year, she raised funds by jumping out of an airplane, and we may touch on that one. And every year, Brenda and her family help raise the spirits of 45 seniors at Christmas when they donate gift bags to 2 senior complexes in her community. Her 2 mottos are, how hard can it be? And go big or go home. And she lives her life to the fullest. And without further ado, I'd like to bring Brenda up into the broadcast studio and welcome her this afternoon.
Wow, that's good. I'm speechless. Every time I hear my bio, I'm going, who is that person he's talking about? So thank you for that. And I am honored to be here with both of you today.
Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm just so happy that we were able to meet. And I don't think it's by chance at all, but I'm really, really excited to get you to come on our show and, express your experience.
Well, thank you. It was fun juggling our schedules between where I'm going and what I'm doing and all of this. But I'm honored to be here. So thank you very much for the invite.
Wonderful. Thank you. So yeah, if you want
Welcome, Brenda. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Deb?
No, I'm okay. I don't have anything to say.
Oh, but you do. You have a lot to say. We all have a lot to say. That's why we're here. You know, we spent a lot of our life just kind of hiding in isolation, whatever it was, whatever traumas and wounds we were dealing with or not dealing with. And what I love about Brenda,
I think we lost Jay.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Jay. Let me text him quickly. We have to bring him back. Let's revive him.
I'm back.
Oh, there we are. Okay, good.
Yeah. So what I don't know where we dropped off, but I'm just honored to be in your presence, Brenda, because to meet a woman like yourself who has had the courage to step forward in your own life and begin a healing journey, and through that, come on the other side of it to where you today have created platforms for other men and women to step forward and help them in their healing process and journey. And so with that, I would love to invite you to maybe take us back. We'll buckle our seatbelts and hold your hand as we begin this journey of your story, your life. And one last thing, I do want to reiterate something that Deb said early on, is that our intention is to create a very safe space for you, and that we're here with you. And at any time, if there's something that should pop up for you through a question that Deb or I may ask at any time, you can set a healthy boundary with us and just let us know. I'm just not in a space or comfortable answering that or going there at this moment, and we will respect you for that.
No problem there. I am willing to share my journey and what I have done to overcome that, so that other men and women can realize that they too can have a life that they want. So without further ado, I'll go back. I was born in rural Alberta, northern Alberta, and it was a homesteading community. So I had a normal childhood like a lot of people up until the age of 5. And then I was sexually assaulted by our farmhand, and that happened repeatedly. And he would literally stalk me and hunt me. And, my father was in the field working, my mother was in the field working, and I was left in the house. And it happened one day when I was supposed to be drying the dishes, and everybody had gone out, and I was standing there drying the dishes, and he came back, and he sexually assaulted me and threatened that he was going to kill me or my family if I said anything. And he had a really big knife with him. So, but I was not easily intimidated. So as soon as he left, I ran out, and I was going to tell my dad what had happened, and I was scared, and he was there. And when I went to say something to my dad, he stood behind my father and had the knife at his back. My dad didn't even know. So that started the trauma for me, in the fact that I couldn't say anything. So I would hide in the bushes, and I would run away, and I would do whatever I could to stay away from him. And that was the spring and the summer of my 5th year. And then it ended when a family member and the farmhand both sexually assaulted and raped me. And from then on, I could not look inside my own family for support, because the one person that was supposed to be looking after me was one of the perpetrators. And so that really started the cycle for me of living on the outside and knowing that at the age of 5, I was all alone. So I would get on my horse, and I would leave from sunup, and I wouldn't come home till sundown. And in Alberta, that's, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. And I would be gone all day, every day. And nobody ever asked where I was, what I was doing. And that just became my normal life. So I didn't know how to trust anybody. I didn't have any support system. And I lived in fear, constant fear that it was going to happen again. Because for the longest time, I thought, oh, I must have something stamped on my forehead, that would say, well, please abuse me, or something like that. I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. And I tried to tell my mother when I was about 9 what had happened. And she never said a word. She just looked at me. Actually, she didn't look at me. She was ironing clothes, and she just said, well, you get what you deserve. And that just like rocked me right to the bottom. And I remember going outside and dry retching because I was just so terrified as to what did I do to bring all of this on? You know, what did I do? And so that carried on. And then I went to summer school. I needed to get away. So I went to summer school to finish my last year of grade 11 so that I could get out of grade 12 faster. And I was raped there. And my mother phoned and she gave me heck because I didn't come home on the weekend. And before I could tell her what had happened, she says, you get everything you deserve. And I remember, you know, hanging up the phone and just sliding down the wall and laying in a fetal position for the next 2 days, not understanding what I was doing, what vibes was I sending out that this was happening to me again. So so I got married, and it was to a fellow that my family all thought was fantastic. And we lived in a small town, and he was possessive and that sort of stuff. And I didn't want to get married. I was going off to be a stewardess for Ward Air because I had been accepted. So, you know, we lived in a community that was 250 miles away from Edmonton. So this was my big chance to escape. But I was really coerced into marrying a man that I didn't love because everybody thought that he was everybody's best friend. And he turned out to be, within a year of our marriage, I found out that he was a sex addict. And so then we had 21 years of a very rocky, turbulent marriage of him cheating and lying and all of that sort of stuff. And me going, I can't even keep my husband happy. Like, what in the hell is the matter with me? Like, you know, and it was for the longest time, always my fault. But there was some grit in there. There was something in there that kept saying, yeah, but. And I just kept shoving it aside. And finally, I decided I was going to leave him, but that didn't turn out very well. And when I finally did leave him, he died probably about within 2 years of me leaving him. And his family blamed me for his death because, you know, I broke his heart and all of this stuff. And it was your fault. And not the fact that it was his fault that he died because of what he was doing. But anyway, so I went into therapy because I thought I was losing my mind. Because now this is something that I haven't told anybody, and it is one of the stories in Sacred Hearts book 3. But when he died, he had hired somebody. There was a police investigation, and they found out that he had hired somebody to kill me. And there were a few incidences that had happened prior to that made me realize that, holy moly, this was true. Because strangers were coming in where I worked and were taking my photo and then running out. And when I found out that he had hired somebody to kill me, it was like, I thought, oh my God, like, you know, what am I going to do? And, you know, you see people, you know, I'm living in the city now, and I don't know who this person is that's supposed to kill me, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I started to really not come to terms with it. I started to kind of crumble a little bit more each day that this was going on. And there was always a snapshot of what happened when I was 5 that would always pop in. And it was just like this 3-second video that would be, you know, no matter what I was doing, it would just be there. And it would just pop in, just like this. Every time I turned around, it was constantly there. And it never, ever stopped. And it went 24/7. So I finally went to the doctor and I said, I think I'm going crazy because I'm hearing things in the apartment. I'm feeling the sensations. I'm being blamed for his death. I think I'm really, really losing my mind. And I thought that she was actually going to send me to a mental hospital because I really thought that I was losing it. And she actually said, you know, I think you need to see a grief counselor. So she sent me to Lorraine, and Lorraine turned out to be a little bit more than a grief counselor. She decided to, she worked with me for probably about 2 or 3 months before she said to me, now, there's something else going on. And I'm going, no, there's not. Because for me, I had dealt with my past. I had dealt with the abuse. I had dealt with all of the emotional and mental abuse, the sexual abuse. In my brain, I had dealt with it. I didn't want to open up that box. I didn't want to deal with it. And I kept saying, no, there's not. I am fine. There is nothing the matter with me. So she eventually wore me down, and I realized that, okay, maybe if I just tell her the little bit about the farmhand, then she would like back off. I told her what had happened there, and we went through REM, which was a rapid eye movement. And she would ask me, well, describe, tell me what is going on. Because in that form of therapy, it takes you right back to being in that situation. And it was so terrifying and disturbing that I actually couldn't put it into words, what the scenes were playing out in my mind. So she suggested that I write it down. So I went home and I started typing. And once that little 5-year-old girl started hitting that keyboard, there was no stopping her. She just went crazy. And it was hard keeping up with the stories that she was telling and the scenes that were playing out. And so we did this for a couple of years, and then she said, now there's something more. And I didn't want to tell her about the family member that had been involved. And eventually she did get to that too. And when I realized, because there had been a witness, and I know I'm missing lots in the pieces here. When I realized that there was actually a witness to what had happened in the last event, that just knocked me to my knees. Like I had to finally accept the fact that what had happened was true. And it was, I knew about the farmhand, and I could kind of get my head around that. But when it came to the family member, I really, really, really had a hard time adjusting to that. And that was another journey in itself. And when I decided to share my story, it was probably about 14 years after I was finished this form of therapy that I decided to share. But I also realized that there were things that were happening to me physically, that even though I had shared my story and I had written the books, my body still was trapped. So I had to go through some cellular release to kind of get that figured out. And I figured, I've already gone through hell. The scenes that had happened and what had happened to me was hell in itself. Getting through to the other side was just the journey. And I knew that nothing else could hurt me anymore. But clearing it out, clearing out the closet was, it was an interesting process. I'm glad I did it. And I ask anybody, if you've gone through trauma of any kind, to seek help, clean out the closet, because if you don't, that stuff never goes away. It clings to you like Klingons do, I'm telling you. So yeah. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell as to my life. And I decided that if I can do anything for anybody, then I can help other women and men share their stories, because I know what I had to go through to get here. And it was a journey well worth it. And I have happiness, and I don't have any charges of what's happened to me. I can talk about what has happened to me and not feel any emotion to it anymore. And I think that in itself is worth going through and helping yourself clear out all of the crap.
That's wonderful.
Do you attribute the REM work as your primary source for the healing, or was it obviously there's other things I'm sure you did along the way, but is that the one thing that impacted your healing process the greatest, do you think?
I think what the REM work helped me realize is what REM does is it takes you back. So you literally, it's like you're transported back in time, and you're in the scene again, but you're kind of hovering above the scene, and you describe what is going on. And what that did for me is it helped clear out the cobwebs. It helped release those trapped memories. It helped shift. It honestly made a shift. And because it was the first mode of therapy that I had tried, I think it probably had the most impact on my mental stability and my emotional stability.
Did you ever press charges on any of the individuals that had hurt you?
No. It was never about getting, and I know this is going to sound really stupid. It was never about them. It was always about me, what I could do for me. And I honestly thought that because I was 5 and they were adults, that nobody was going to ever believe me. And so I never looked at it as to punishing them. I looked at it as releasing me. Because if I sent back all of the crap that they had heaped onto me and laid that at their feet, then that was going to be on them. And in the next life, they're going to have to deal with it somehow. But no, I never did seek to press charges, because it was never my intent. My intent was always to help myself live a better life. And how can I do that with all of this crap? So that was always my intent. It was never about them. It was always about me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. When I was raped, I left it up to the system. I did my part, and I'm like, I can't control what gets done after this, but I know that I did what I needed to do, because I was very angry. I was very angry.
I'm sure that if something happened to me today, I would take them down, boy. I'm telling you, I would go for the jugular, and I would do anything that I could in my power to make them see justice. But because I was 5, it was a little bit more difficult. And I know that there are women who go back and they can do this. And I'm pretty sure that the farmhand that had sexually assaulted me, I wasn't his first victim. I'm pretty sure that, it would more likely some of his family members. I don't know for sure, but and even the guy that raped me, it was a date rape situation. And I never really thought about it. Because of the headspace I was in, I didn't think anybody would ever believe me anyway, because I was always told that I was worthless, that I had no value, that I was dispensable. So I believed that. And I believed that it was somehow my fault that this had happened to me. So, yeah, I applaud anybody who goes after their perpetrators. It's not.
It's traumatizing itself just to call the RCMP, as my story just calling the RCMP, I got re-traumatized. So it is a huge step just to make that legal one, right?
Well, and we need to look at changing that, so that victims, whether they're men or women, because there are men that are victimized also, that it is a safe place for them to go to say, this has happened to me. And you don't need some asshole, for want of a better word, to say, oh, sweetheart, what were you wearing?
Were you drinking?
What you were doing? I mean, you could be wearing a 3-piece suit or a nun's habit, and it can still happen to you, because sick people are out there, and it doesn't matter. It's not about what you're wearing. It's about what that person's mindset is about, and they need help, because if you have to physically force yourself on somebody, there is something seriously the matter with you.
Yeah.
Brenda, I would like to take a moment just to invite you to just take a nice deep breath.
Oh,
It's okay. Let's just take a nice deep breath. And while you're doing that, you can let it out when you feel ready. But
oh yeah.
I'd like to just take a moment to honor you and just thank you for having for accepting our invitation to come onto the show today. Because even though you have done a tremendous amount of work and you're in a different place today, and you've done such significant healing for yourself, it's still, when we speak the words and we go back, we're still impacted to an extent because it's still our story. And I know it's a difficult thing to do, and it takes courage. And I just want to honor you in this moment and thank you for stepping forward today to be with both Debbie and myself. And so I wanted to share that and say that to you. Your story is just so heartbreaking, you know. It hurts me just to hear it, you know, because it's like, I can only imagine, even though you're the adult Brenda today, you know, your little girl, inner child Brenda is still within you and alive. And to hear you speak those words, it's so painful to receive it, you know, and for me, just having to process it is difficult. But what helps me, and I'm sure it helps others that are listening live or catching us on replay, is that you've done a lot of work, and I'm sure you continue to do the work to show up for yourself today and continue the healing process. And so I thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. It is a journey. It's not a destination. When you are dealing with sexual abuse and mental and emotional abuse, that sort of stuff. It is not something that is a quick fix by any stretch of the imagination. This is probably going to be something that I'm always going to be working at throughout my life. And the hard part has been done, you know, accepting it, dealing with it, and putting a voice to it. I've had to do cellular release because my body has held the trauma, and I've gone through that. And as different things come up, and I don't know what they're going to be in the future, I never knew of cellular release when I was first starting therapy. So as different things come up and different modalities of therapy come up, if it's something that I'm going to have to do, then I'll certainly dive into it, and I'll do it because I think I'm worth it. And that 5-year-old child in me is definitely worth it. She is worth everything. And she deserves to live the life that she was supposed to live, and not the life that had been handed to her by her abusers. And I carry her with me. I hug her every day, and I tell her I love her every day because she deserves that. And she deserves so much more life than what she was given. And if I can embody her in my future endeavors, then that's for sure what I'm going to be doing, because without her, I wouldn't be here today.
And so do you ever go on play dates? Do you go on play dates?
Sometimes I go on play dates. It's because she was a horse crazy little girl. I'm a horse crazy adult. And so we have a Minnie out here that we have, and she is Miss Minnie Cooper. She's quite the little lady. So she embodies who the little girl in me is. She's free-spirited. You can't keep her in a fence to save your soul. I think that's probably why they got rid of her, is because you can't keep her enclosed anywhere. And that's exactly who that little 5-year-old girl in me is. She now has no bonds holding her. She is just going wherever she needs to go. And Miss Minnie Cooper, the Minnie, certainly does that. So, yeah, it is kind of.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, the game changer is that what you've learned in your journey, your healing process, is that although you've acknowledged, like when you were 5 years old, you didn't have that person to protect you and take care of you and love you. But the game changer is that you have that person in your life today. And that's you. You don't need anyone else to guard and protect that 5-year-old little girl inside. You're doing it for yourself. And there's where self-love comes in. And it's a beautiful moment of clarity and awareness and consciousness when we understand that we finally can come home to ourselves and we could love ourselves. And, it's a process because we weren't taught how to do that. Not all of us came from homes where we had that experience as you described. And so it's beautiful that we don't have to depend on a mate, on a friend, on a therapist, on anyone to provide that to us. We just have to show up for ourselves and learn how to first like ourselves, as we talked about pre-show in the studio, that then creates that love potion for ourselves.
Oh, very true. Yeah, very true. You have to learn how to accept yourself for who you are. Your past is part of who you are. That's never going to change. It just doesn't have to define who you are. It can be exactly that, your past. And once you get to that point where you decide that you are enough, then things change. My relationship with my husband is, he doesn't have to make me happy. I have to make me happy. And it's not his job to make me happy. It's his job to be my partner in life, to walk beside me.
Beautiful.
And I think that was a hard lesson for him to learn, because he's a nurturer and he's a fixer and he wants to do things. And early in our relationship, he was always trying to make me happy and to trying to fix me. And I said, it's not your job to make me happy. It's my job to make me happy. And if I can't find my own happiness within myself, he's certainly not going to be able to keep me happy. And that was a tough lesson for him to learn, and a tough lesson for me to learn, that I have to depend on myself for my choices in my life, my happiness, and I get to share it with a wonderful, loving partner who can now be with me because he wants to be with me and not because he needs to fix me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Wow. If we could just package that, Brenda, I think we need to package that whole segment that you just shared. If we just package it and bring it to the market, we could pick any island that we could buy and own and live happily ever after, because there is the recipe for a living right there. There is a recipe for healthy relationships that, as a society, at least in North America, we as a mass have not figured that out. We're all chasing happiness,
external happiness,
on the outside, and not realizing that no one can give me what I need. I need to get it, and it's right here. It's already here. It's within me. I just gotta find the GPS, the roadmap to get there.
Yeah,
but I'd like.
And sometimes the road is bumpy. Like sometimes you lose your way, and I think that's what happens when you have been victimized and traumatized in your life, is you sometimes lose that roadmap. And until you go back to the very beginning, to when all of the crap started, and start cleaning it out, will the road become clear again? And because I couldn't find that roadmap for the life of me until I decided that I needed to deal with the past and put it to bed. And once I did that, then the road became less obstacles, and the road closed signs left, and I was able to navigate the path to find that. But it wasn't until I dealt with my past that I was able to do that.
And I think it all leads up to all the experiences going further, that you actually, now that you have gone through everything, now you can re-walk that path, and it's not as scary, it's not as long, and there's little trails, because you as a child have left those beautiful little trails for yourself, so you can find it. So it's just a matter of, I don't want to do it again because I just finished walking this path. But it's about being okay with going back and being safe while you're doing it, and know that you're not going to go back.
Yeah, you have to go back, and till the path becomes so well known to you that there's no boogeyman jumping out every corner and behind every tree. But you do have to go back, and you have to walk the path in order to make it correct, and to make it not so scary.
Yeah, to kind of detune it a little bit, to not to walk outside, like EFT John Fiore was on last about tapping, and so he takes you through kind of similar to what you were talking about, the REM with the eye movement, but he walks you through anything that could be a trigger, and then you assess it, and then you tap it out, whatever. It's a bubble, it's a protection bubble that you're walking from, and you're not so involved with it because you're away from it.
Yeah, for me, it's a good metaphor is, have you ever gone to those carnivals and those circuses where they have the haunted house?
Yeah.
Go into the haunted house the first time and somebody jumps out and you're, oh my God, and you're screaming and you're doing all of that stuff and your heart is racing and palpitations. But by the 10th time you've gone through that house, you're not screaming anymore and you're not scared and you know what's around the next corner. And it's exactly like going back and cleaning out your past. You know, when you first do it, it was the big scary thing, and now you do it again, and now there's less, it's not as scary, and yeah, okay, I can deal with that, and that's exactly it. By the time you've gone back enough times, you know that path and you know what's there, and now it's not triggering you anymore.
I like that analogy really well. My mom went into a haunted house, but she ended up punching the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Brenda, I'd like to ask you to take a moment here, maybe share with us. We talked about happiness and that not even your husband can create it for you. It's something that you've got to grab for, reach for yourself. What does happiness look like for you today? How did you get there? How do you get there? What does it look like for you? What is the work that you do for yourself today to sustain it or create it and maintain it?
Happiness for me right now is helping other men and women realize that they can live a happy life after abuse. It is certainly, I'm a person that I like to help other people. I mean, we have several companies. One of them is an insurance business where we go in and we help people so that in the times that there are a catastrophe and a disaster that happens, that there is help for them. There's financial support for them. And, you know, Sacred Hearts is along the same line. It's helping other people. And that's, I think, is where I find more of the happiness that I have now, is sharing what I've gone through and being able to help other people and say, you know what, I know the journey you're on. I've been there, and this is what you can have on the other end. So being the proof of the pudding, I guess, is a better way to say it. Helping, you know, I'm heading off to Cabo, and we're going to go to Los Rios, and there's an orphanage in Mexico that we are helping. Sacred Hearts is sponsoring, and they are helping, and they're bringing all kinds of toiletries to these kids and doing all kinds of stuff for them. And it's just being there, being present for other people who are going through tough times. And saying, you know what, we can get through this together. For me, I'm happy with that. I enjoy that. I like helping other people, and yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. It's not $1 million, and it's not doing this, and it's just helping other people.
It's beautiful. It's kind of why we started the show too, Jay. Just to realize that we can hold their hand while they're going through it, because we've been through similar experiences, and it's life, and it's traumatic, it's tragic, it's painful, it's ugly, but we all have our path, and we all need a little bit of guidance, right?
You need guidance. You can't be the helping hand because you have to be able to want to walk that path yourself, but knowing that there's somebody there that's got your back, that has been through this, that knows the process, is, I think, something that I never had. You know, and that's what I want to be able to give people, because going through the process, it was daunting on my own, and not having anybody to talk to, and that's where Sacred Hearts has a community where, you know, there's a Facebook page where they can go on and they can say, I'm feeling this way, and one of those authors is going to come up and say, I understand, I've been there too. And that's invaluable. And I mean, it's a closed group, but it's invaluable that you don't feel alone in your journey of whatever your past is, whether it's, you know, alcoholism, addiction, you know, cutting, suicide, abuse of any kinds, you're never alone.
I love that. And we have to work on it ourselves, but we're not alone doing it. Like, it is our own job to work on it, but we don't have to be alone. We're never alone.
Yeah, it's your own journey, and you're with people who understand it and get it. And sometimes that's family.
Are you a woman of religious background or spiritual background, or neither? Just curious.
I am a woman of a spiritual background. When I was a kid, I was the heathen child. That's what the neighbors all called us, because our family wasn't exactly religious in that sense of the word. So I was the project that everybody dragged me to every church in our town. And I learned a long time ago, when going through that religion was not what I needed. When I was riding my horse and I was escaping, I would always sing the two sentences to Amazing Grace, Amazing Grace, how sweet thou art, that saved a wretch like me. And I would scream the word wretch at the top of my lungs, and I would say it over and over and over while I was riding my poor horse. And I mean, because for me, that's how I was trying to pray. And so religion never looked at me and said, we need to help this child. There's something going on here. What is it? Nobody in any of the churches that I had been to ever stepped up and said, we need to help this child. So I never turned to religion, but I became more of a spiritual person than anything. And I believe in all of the spiritualism, and that's what gets me through, is being a spiritualist more than a religious person. I don't care what church you're from, and it doesn't really matter to me. But if you believe in your creator, whether it's God or Buddha or whoever it is, that's a tough question, and it's a tough subject, because lots of people are religion and they believe in God, and lots of the authors have put their faith in God and that sort of stuff. But I put my faith in the divine, whatever that is, whether it's God or source or whoever. I don't pigeonhole myself in that aspect. I'm not saying religious people are doing that either, but for me, yeah.
It's what resonates with you. It's you're kind of shopping and you're like, oh, this works, this doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm very much a spiritualist.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel much of your healing journey has been impacted by your relationship with the divine, or has it?
Hugely, because for me it was, I can go outside, and whether it's a person would say I'm praying, or for me I'm just talking. I can go outside and I can ask for guidance from whatever source is going to be. And now people are really going to think I'm a nut bar here.
Not I.
Nuts are good. They're high in protein.
Because like, I know that Jesus has been here, and Jesus has been in our house. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. I know that. But I don't have religious crosses in my house. So I don't think I need to have that in order to have Jesus on my side, or source on my side, or God on my side. I don't put any limitations on it. Let's put it that way. If Jesus is going to come to my house, Jesus comes to my house. If God is going to be there, then God is going to be there. If source is going to be there, or divine is going to be there, it's just, for me, it's all just one big ball of energy. And I get to call on whatever I need, and it'll come whatever I need. I don't know if that's a good answer.
That's a really good answer. It makes sense to me. So we're both a little nuts. That's okay.
It's the right answer. It's the right answer. There's no right or wrong. With what time we do have left, because believe it or not, we've got about 7 minutes to the hour here. I'd like to just welcome a few more guests that joined us live today. I so much, Debbie and I both appreciate you being here with us and for us. And for Brenda, Priyu coming in live from South America. She was on our show last week, and it was a powerful show. We have Daphne that jumped in, Gabrielle Schneider coming in from Germany, from Berlin. We've got my mom coming in from Florida, my sister coming in from New York. We also had Judah coming in from Germany as well. We had Dharam Patel coming in from India. I think I pretty much caught everyone that I'm aware of that's participated, that shared a comment or a question. And one of the things, we have John Fiore coming in from New Jersey, not Pennsylvania for some reason. I've had a mental block with that. And John, forever, I always think he's from Pennsylvania, and I know he's from Jersey Shore. So thank you for being patient with me, John, as I work through that mental block for some crazy reason. Maybe you need to be living in Pennsylvania. Maybe you're being drawn to Pennsylvania through me. I'm channeling you there. I'm not sure, but we also had Amber joining us live as well, coming in from Las Vegas, Nevada, and we've got Mary Kelly coming in from Prescott, Illinois, Prescott, Arizona today. Oh my God, it's been an amazing day here, and with that, I'd like to ask you, Brenda, if you could be so kind to maybe share a little bit with us with what time we have left. What is the work that you are doing today and to help others in their healing journey? If you could share with us some of the work you are doing to pay it forward and give it away.
Right now we have, I have a website called Sacred Hearts Rising, and it is all about what Sacred Hearts is all about. So Sacred Hearts, and Deb is holding up book number 1, is about helping men and women share their stories of overcoming traumas in their past. And the stories have to be inspirational. And you say, well, how could that possibly be? So any story, if you look at it the right way, can be an inspirational story to somebody. Whether you have been raped or you are cutting or you're doing anything like that, is the process of working through what it is that you're working through. And there is no story that is not untold. So we've took all of the filters off, and people can subscribe to share their story to Sacred Hearts. And if they're accepted, then they get to go into the book, and we hold a annual event for that. So it's a way for me to be able to help other people say, me too, I'm not alone, or I need to be able to talk to somebody about this. What do I need to do? And I get it. Not everybody wants to write their story, and not everybody wants their story published in a book. But for those people that do, what you are doing is invaluable. You are saving a life. And it happened with one of the authors who wrote in book number 1. A woman walked up to her, she read her story, and she walked up to her and she said to her, she says, I read your story, and she says, I was about to commit suicide. And after reading your story, I realized that there is another way, that there is a better way that I could do this. And thank you. And that's what these stories are about. There is no story bigger than the next story. Everybody's story is big for them.
Yes.
And your story can make a difference in somebody that you don't know. Yeah. One woman came up to me and she said, she read my very first book, and she said, the line, Amazing Grace, how sweet you are that saved a wretch like me, she said, spoke to me. And she says, that brought me to share my story in Sacred Hearts. She says, because I felt I was not alone. And it was involved, her story was about incest. And she says, I thought that it was just me. And that's what the stories do. They help you show that you are not alone. And it creates a ripple effect throughout the world. And that's what we're working on.
That's beautiful. And I'm proud to say I'm going to be part of book number 3. I'm so excited for that. I'm working on it, but I want to make sure it's I have the right message in there. Yeah.
Well, and that's where we have our developmental editor. Her job is to make sure that the stories are what the stories need to be. And if any of the writers have a problem with trying to figure out the story, then they can send them to me, and then I can help them turn that light bulb the other way and look at it differently. And I've always said to people, you know, I started Sacred Hearts because I wanted to share the story of my granddaughter who had died at 7 days old. I didn't want her to be forgotten because I was doing our genealogy, and you can go through newspapers and you can find stuff about people 100 years ago, but nobody was going to find anything about her. So I wanted to share her story. And I didn't get to spend my whole life with my granddaughter, but my granddaughter got to spend her whole life with me. And what more could a little soul ask for? She was loved for the 7 days that she was here, unconditionally, 24/7. She has changed my life completely in the 7 days that she was here. And I am honored that she chose me to be her grandma.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know, and that's what our stories can do. They can make us see our stories in a different light.
Thank you so much for that. And how would somebody reach out to you if they can just go to Sacred Hearts Rising on Facebook, and you have a website as well?
Yeah, they can go to sacredheartsrising.com on Google or Yahoo or any of that sort of stuff. They'll get all kinds of stuff about Sacred Hearts Rising. They can go on to my Facebook page, which is Brenda Hammon .com. I think it's facebook.com/BrendaHammon.9 or some crazy thing like that. They can reach me that way. Yeah, you can kind of get me no matter which way. You can find me. There's a click on
You're open book, no pun intended, all pun intended. Yeah,
I have an open book. Yeah, you can go onto Amazon and type in Brenda Hammon and see the books there. And there are lots of ways that you can track me down. But Sacred Hearts, I even have my own page, so BrendaHammon.com. You can search that and you can find me that way also. So yeah, it's I'm not the Brenda Hammon psychic, so don't click on that one. But yeah, it's yeah, you can reach me. I'm pretty easy to find.
That's great. And
you have such an amazing story that you shared today, and it's so powerful. What you endured and what you went through in your early years was there's no words that can describe it other than tremendous trauma and pain that no human being deserves to have to endure. And you got through it, and now you have risen above through your own healing journey. And what an incredible story you have. It just hits my soul.
Oh, thank you. You should share your story in Sacred Hearts Book 3, Jay.
Yes. Yes, you should. We can be in a book together, Jay.
There you go.
We could talk. I'd love to hear more about what that would look like from you offline, but I thank you for that. But I would like to ask you with the few minutes we have left, because my eyes have been continuously swollen with tears of just gratitude for you, you know, just some pain, but also just seeing where you're at and how you get back today to others. I'm just so filled right now. And with what time we have left, maybe you could share some words of inspiration for others that may be suffering today or unsure if they're willing to face their past, or if they're in a relationship that is still in abusive relationships. If maybe you could close us out with some thoughts and some inspiring words for others that may be right where they're at right now.
I would love to. All I can say to you is, wherever you're at in your life, you deserve more. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live the life of your dreams, whatever that is. And I didn't know what my life of my dreams was going to be until I embarked on the journey. But if I can get through my past, anybody can get through their past. I am no different than anybody else out there. I am just an ordinary, everyday woman that decided that enough was enough, and that I mattered in this world, that I wasn't insignificant, that I wasn't worthless. And neither are any of you out there. You all matter. We are brought into this world for a reason. And it wasn't to be an abuser's piñata. It wasn't to be anything like that. It was to be great. And the traumas that you've had in your past, and this is going to sound really stupid, but the traumas that you've had in your past were put there for a reason, for you to overcome, for you to become resilient, for you to learn something. And I was sexually abused. Incest was involved. A farmhand was involved. I was raped. Did I ask for those things? No, I did not. But I built something from them. I took the power back from my abusers, and I've used it to create a better life for me. And everybody can do that. And some people turn to addictions. They turn to drugs or alcohol to numb the pain. I was no different. I turned to horses. There wasn't alcohol and drugs when I was growing up, but there was horses. So horses became my addiction. But thank God it was a healthy addiction. It wasn't a cheap addiction.
No, they're not cheap.
You know, is there a cheap one? I mean, really?
There is no cheap addiction, but they provided me something. So if you are suffering from alcoholism, if you're suffering from addictions of some sort, look for a healthier alternative to become a new addiction for you.
I love that.
And like I say, horses were big. I have 9 horses sitting here out in my yard, and I love every one of them. But they're a healthy addiction, and we need something to wrap ourselves around while we're going through our journey. And it can be anything. Yoga can be your addiction, you know, baking, cooking, you know, anything, art. Whatever it is that's going to help you get through to the next day while you're on your journey, then grab it. But make sure it's a healthy one, because you are worth it. You need a place in this world, and there is a place in this world for you, and you can be a difference in somebody else's life.
Thank you so much, Brenda. You're amazing. I grew up with horses. I had a little miniature pony. We called him Big Ben. He was my addiction. He was I had any animal I wanted, and I think that's so. What a great advice is, like, choose an addiction. It's a transfer addiction, and transfer it to something that will help you, right?
To something healthy.
Yeah, a healthy self-soothing tool rather than an unhealthy self-soothing addiction. You know, I at some point when I'm off of airlift restrictions, perhaps maybe Mary and I will make a trip up to your neck of the woods, because I know how much Mary loves horses, and I'd love to do some horse therapy for myself. And maybe Deb, maybe we'll come live and we'll do a show together from the horse.
So awesome.
Well, horses are a beautiful therapy. There's no doubt about that, because if you connect with horses or animals or dogs, they are a beautiful therapy.
They're a mirror of you, and so once you're able to trust you, they trust you, and it's just amazing the mirror that they are of you.
Yeah, they are a mirror, that's for sure.
Mine was a little brat. He would chase me around with a hose. And
Debbie, closing thoughts for today?
Yeah, just, you know, what happened to me, I didn't take very long to speak my truth. I actually that next day I wrote a paragraph to Anonymous Edmonton about what happened and about what the officer. I was more pissed off at what the officer did than what actually happened. But I refused to be a victim. I was immediately transformed to survivor, and it was immediate. It was just like, wait a second. So don't be afraid to speak your truth. Don't be afraid to, like, if you feel violated, if you feel somebody didn't treat you right that should have, that is professional, speak up and speak out, because no one else really knows, and they could be doing it to other people. So just take your power back, and you have a voice. You can use it.
Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, you're welcome.
here's my closing thoughts. I just want to, again, honor both you, Brenda, and Deb for having the courage to step into your own healing and pay it forward by doing the work that both of you have done and continue to do and aspire to do. I'm humbled to be in the same room as the two of you. Something else that resonates is something that one of our guests in the community shared today. And, it's something, we're talking about addictions a little bit. And it's one that we don't really refer to as addiction, but I'll tell you, here's my closing thoughts. Victimization, being a victim and continuing to live as a victim is an addiction, because for some reason, we get hooked into that, and somehow it feels good to just remain in that space. And I could tell you from my own experience, it's a bad addiction to hold on to. And it's a choice, whatever our addictions are. And believe me, I had 5 of my own, and none of them include alcohol and drugs. But I had 5 addictions, and today I am healed. I no longer have those addictions because I was willing to step into my fear and do the work and have the courage to unlearn everything that I thought was the truth, and accept that everything that I knew to be the truth was a lie. And everything that I thought was a lie ended up becoming a truth. And so herein that lies that it's up to us. It's our own choice if we want to stay a victim and allow the rest of our lives to live in bondage, or we could start the process one baby step at a time by coming home to ourselves and walking through the pain instead of living in it, and coming out on the other side to have a life that both the two of you and I get to experience today. And if you're in that space where you just don't know where to begin, just begin, just start. And through that process, your life will begin to improve and get better. And there are so many people that all 3 of us I know have met through our healing journey that are examples that continue to teach me and teach us on how to continue the process, because when we think we're done, we've just begun. We're never done healing. It's a process that I think is going to go on until the day we pass on, and then we get to do it, we get to do it again sometime. But at least in this lifetime, I'm just in gratitude that I finally had my awakening and woke up and was willing to face all of my own demons and my pain and begin the healing process so that I could experience life a different way than I ever thought was possible for myself. As I'm sure the two of you ladies, when you were in it, did you ever think that life could ever be any different than what was?
No, I never thought that I could have this life. And it all started because I decided to choose me. And again, for everybody else, by choosing, just choose you. Just choose yourself.
I love that.
Well, you've had me emotional this entire show, Brenda. And, the beautiful thing is I could say that with a smile on my face, because some of the tears were tears of pain, but so much of it is just my emotions are filled right now, and they're fueled with just gratitude. And my body, physically, I have that sensation of tingling throughout, and I'm just elevated right now, levitating in a really pure space of feeling good right now. And I'm just so grateful. I'm full, and it feels good. And so with that, thank you for joining us this afternoon on Real People, Real Stories Raw. Side note, if you could take some time in the next 24 hours to come back in through Facebook and perhaps comment and answer any questions that you feel you'd like to, Brenda, that is. And tomorrow, I've got a special edition coming in at 5 o'clock East Coast time. Real Men, Real Talk Raw. I've got Jennifer Ramsey coming in from down under. She's coming in from, I believe she's coming in from Sydney, Australia area. She's going to be sharing her story of what life was like living in anxiety 24/7 and what her healing and recovery has looked like. And today she's a coach. She's part of Jessica Alstrom's team of part of the Quantum Revolution tour that's coming up in March in Las Vegas. And she's going to be on tomorrow to share her story. And then we've got our next show, Deb, is that on Sunday, or do we have another midweek show this week?
I think it's on Sunday, unless somebody else wants to share their story, and then we'll have a midweek one. We kind of go with the flow a little bit.
And to that point, Deb brings up a great point, is that if you heard something you like and something that resonated with you today and you feel like you're ready to step forward and share your story with us, please reach out to Deb or myself through private messenger, and we could get to know you and get you scheduled in to come on a show and be a part of your continuing your healing journey. And with that, thank you, ladies. And if you could just stay in the studio for maybe just 2 minutes after, Brenda, we'd appreciate that. And with that,
thank you for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I'm just so grateful that that we met and that our sacred hearts are rising.
Yes, they are. It's gonna be a journey.
That's a wrap. It's a wrap. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.